Welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we've had a few requests to dig into Batuíra.
Ah, interesting choice.
Yeah, not a household name, at least not outside of, well, pretty deep into Brazilian Spiritism. But we've got articles, historical accounts, so let's see what makes this guy tick, why he matters.
Yeah, he's kind of symbolic of a, pivotal time for the movement's growth here.
Perfect. So, square one, who was Batuíra? Where did this all begin?
Well, birth name, let's get that formal stuff out of the way, was Antonio Gonçalves da Silva. Way back 1839, born in Portugal, actually.
Oh, so not a Brazilian native.
Nope, came over as a kid, 11 years old, landed in Rio, which was still the capital then, Empire days. Yeah. But eventually he ends up in São Paulo, which is where most of his story plays out.
11 years old, whole new continent. That's got to leave a mark, right?
For sure. In his early career, it's all over the place, almost like he's trying things out. Commerce, delivering newspapers for the Correio Paulistano. Even owned a theater for a bit.
Wait, theater, that's a curveball.
Right. Dude had energy. And that actually ties into how he gets the nickname Batuíra. Not Portuguese, by the way. It's a bird we have here. Crazy fast, always flitting about.
So like the spiritist speedster zipping around Sao Paulo kind of makes the newspaper delivery more vivid now.
Exactly. Always on the move, getting things done.
Okay, so we got this driven guy making a life, but gotta figure there's a turn towards spiritism coming, probably through some hardship, right? I mean, that's a common thread in a lot of these stories.
Sadly, yeah. Batuíra and his wife, Maria das Dores Coutinho y Silva, they lose their stepson, young kid, only 12.
No.
So you can imagine they're looking for comfort, meaning wherever they can find it.
And spiritism, it goes beyond just soothing the grief, right? It gets real involved.
Yeah.
Were there any, risks or sacrifices tied to that back then? I mean, what kind of pushback did early spiritists get?
Oh, tons. Think about it. He becomes an agent for Reformador magazine. That was like the Spiritist publication back then. Distributing that, it's not just reading material, it's challenging the whole established way of thinking.
Wow, so he's putting himself out there.
Big time. And it doesn't stop there. Revives a dormant Spiritist group, even buys a printing press. That's commitment right there.
Whoa, a printing press, that's not a small investment. So he's not just attending meetings, he's going all in on spreading the word. What's that tell us about the Spiritist movement at that time in Brazil?
It's booming, changing, growing. You got to remember, access to information, way more limited back then. Having your own press, that's control. Making sure the message gets out, reaches more people.
Kind of like those early religious movements, right? That drive to share, to help others, it fuels the whole thing.
Yeah, you could say that. But Batuíra, he doesn't stop at words. He's known for healing, using water, magnetic passes, stuff like that.
Like, early energy healing type stuff, laying on hands.
Yeah, think of it like that. So was this just him? Or was healing like a big part of Spiritism back then in general?
Pretty common, yeah. But what made Batuíra stand out, it's the dedication to the less fortunate. He becomes known as the doctor of the poor, offers his services to anyone who needs them.
Now, that's a title. Doctor of the Poor, we hear it attached to Bezerra de Menezes, too, another big name in Brazilian Spiritism. What sets those two apart, though? I mean, I'm sure there were lots of healers back then.
It is interesting to compare them, right? Both gifted healers for sure, but that compassion, seeing spiritism as a way to ease both physical and spiritual suffering, that's what made them stand out.
So we've got this picture of Batuíra, always on the go, spreading the word, healing, printing. Kind of sounds exhausting, honestly.
It really was. And there's this note in one source that stuck with me. It says back in 1897, Batuíra prints 15,000 copies of his own publication.
15,000. Wow, that's a big undertaking for back then. What was he trying to get across with all his copies? Hard to say for sure without actually reading those original documents. But knowing his background, I wonder if he was trying to make Spiritist ideas more accessible, more down to earth for the average person.
Makes sense. So not just philosophy, but actually putting those ideas to work, helping people.
Exactly. And that brings us to another big part of his story. Building those Spiritist communities, not just talking the talk. He's creating spaces for people to connect, support each other.
So crisscrossing states, setting up groups, what were some of the hurdles he would hit back then?
Oh, I'm sure there were tons. Travel wasn't easy, remember? Plus, Spiritism was still facing pushback from all sorts of folks.
That's a thought, what those challenges must have been like. But you know what? We're going to dive into that and way more right after this. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started.
Back in a flash. All right, back at it. It's really kind of wild to think about just how much Batuíra got done in his lifetime. We've only just dipped our toes in here.
You mentioned earlier all those challenges with travel, spreading the word when Spiritism was, well, let's be honest, still kind of fringe. What were some of those hurdles specifically?
Travel itself, for one.
Yeah.
This ain't like hopping on a plane, right? We're
Right.
talking horse-drawn carriages, maybe early trains, but lots of rough terrain. Just the physical toll had to be immense.
Makes his drive even more impressive. But beyond just the tough journeys, what about the, I don't know, social or political stuff he had to deal with?
Oh, totally. Spiritism back then, it was seen as suspicious by a lot of folks, challenged religion, science, the whole established order. He probably faced, well, hostility from the church, skepticism from, scientists. Probably got called a witch or sorcerer a few times too, I'd bet.
Yeah, progress rarely comes easy, right?
No.
So difficult travel, societal pushback, but he's still driven to build these communities. What did those early spiritist groups even look like? Were they organized or more like casual meetups?
Bit of both, seems like. Some were probably informal, folks meeting in homes, sharing ideas, experiences, supporting each other. But Batuíra also helped establish more formal organizations, like the União Espírita do Estado de São Paulo. That one aimed to unify and strengthen the movement, give it some structure.
So he's kind of bridging that gap, grassroots energy with a bit of organization. Interesting. The sources talk about him being like diligent, honest, gentle spirit. Does that line up with what we're seeing in his actions?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a man of principle, integrity, but also a leader with real compassion. Think back even before he really gets into Spiritism, he's got that entrepreneurial drive, but it's not about greed, right? It's about positive
Right.
impact, whether it's news, theater, or even being a landlord, providing housing.
You know, the theater thing, that's still in my head. Think that early artsy side of him influenced his later work with Spiritism at all?
You know what? That's a great point. Theater, it's storytelling, connecting with an audience, conveying. Sure. So in Spiritism, the belief is that there's this vital energy, a life force flowing through everything, right?
Yeah.
Magnetic passes were basically a way to channel that energy, to transfer it from the healer to the person needing help.
So not like magic, but more like working with this natural energy. Did the sources mention any specific examples of his healing? Like, wow, moments.
Unfortunately, the sources we have, they're more focused on his overall impact than specific stories. But given his reputation, Doctor of the Poor, I think it's safe to say his healing work touched a lot of lives.
Speaks to the practical side of Spiritism, that those principles can actually help people address real problems. But I'm curious, did he ever get pushback for it, like from doctors, the medical community?
Good question. There was probably a lot of skepticism from the medical establishment back then, but for those who couldn't afford regular health care, Batuir's approach, it offered them hope, maybe their only option.
Really makes you think about those different viewpoints, how they clash, kind of like our own debates about alternative medicine today. But hey, we're running short on time here. Let's shift gears, talk about Batuira's legacy, his lasting impact on Brazilian Spiritism.
Great idea. And that's a conversation we should definitely have, but let's take a quick break first and we'll come right back to it.
All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our look at Batuira. Man, this guy was nonstop, huh? Total dedication to Spiritism and just helping people in general.
Definitely. Which brings us to maybe the biggest question. What's his lasting impact? Like, how did he shape Brazilian Spiritism into what we see today?
Right, exactly. We talked about him spreading information, healing, building those communities, but how did all that, I don't know, ripple outward, affect the whole movement?
Well, think about his work with the Reformador magazine, plus publishing all that material himself. That was huge for spreading Spiritist ideas throughout Brazil. He's basically creating a network of people who are informed, engaged. That's vital for any movement to really take off.
Like planting seeds, huh? And then those seeds grow into these whole communities.
Perfect analogy.
Hmm.
And don't forget about those organizations he helped create, like the União Espírita do Estado de São Paulo. That was a big one. Gave the movement structure, support, a shared purpose, really strengthened things.
He really did straddle that line, didn't he? Grassroots energy, but also understanding the need for, well, some kind of organization. Do we know how those groups were received back then? Like, was society welcoming or was there pushback?
Oh, there were definitely challenges. Remember, Spiritism was still pretty new, pretty controversial. Batuíra and everyone involved, they had to deal with skepticism, prejudice, even outright hostility in some cases.
Shows you, real change, it's never a smooth ride. But even with those hurdles, it seems like what Batuíra did, it laid the foundation for, well, for how accepted Spiritism is in Brazil today.
Absolutely. He was unwavering, spreading the word, building those connections, showing how Spiritism could actually help people make a difference. It all paved the way for future generations.
It's kind of fun to imagine, if he could see the movement today, what would he think? Be surprised by how much it's grown and changed.
Oh, for sure. I think he'd be thrilled to see how much his work has, well, borne fruit. How Spiritism has become this global movement, embracing all sorts of people while still staying true to its core values. And can you imagine his reaction to the internet?
The guy loved printing. Think he'd be on social media spreading the word digitally.
Oh, 100%.
Mm.
Maybe even have a podcast. But seriously, I think he'd be amazed by how technology connects us, how we can share these teachings with anyone, anywhere in the world.
It's beautiful to think about his legacy reaching across time and space, but it all comes back to that heart of it all, right? Compassion, helping others, growing spiritually. That's what he was all about.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And while we may never know the full extent of his influence, there's no doubt that Batuíra played a huge role in shaping Brazilian Spiritism. He was a true pioneer, tireless, compassionate, and he definitely left his mark on the world.
Well, there you have it, listeners. We hope this deep dive into Batuíra's life has been insightful. He might not be a household name, but his story is inspiring, showing what one person can achieve with dedication, perseverance, and a genuine desire to make the world a better place.
And remember, this is just a starting point. There's always more to explore, to learn, to think about. Keep digging, keep asking those questions, and keep seeking a deeper understanding.
And on that note, until next time, happy learning.